Okay, I've Michelle. This is Team 12, BIS343. We'll be interviewing our team member, Michelle. She'll be starting the conversation. Michelle, go ahead, set it off.
Okay, guys, make sure if you can't hear me to let me know. But my name is Michelle Leahy. I'm one of 3 children from my parents. I have an older brother and an older sister. So I am the youngest in the family. I have the youngest child syndrome. I grew up in a really pretty normal, what I call normal family. We were all really close. We still are really close. If there's a problem with one of us, the whole family knows about it and we work through it together. There's no secrets. Me and my mom and my sister talk every day, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. I grew up in a Jewish family, so even extended family I'm really close to, my cousins and my aunts and uncles. We get together for there's tons of Jewish holidays throughout the year, so we get together for the holidays.
Yes.
So you broke up, Michelle, the last, the cool 15, 20 seconds.
Okay, so I grew up in families, so even my extended family I'm really close to. I'm close to my cousin and my aunts and uncles. We often get together for Jewish holidays. There's tons of Jewish holidays throughout the year, and we're typically all together. I mean, I grew up pretty lucky to have a family. We traveled often. We did do Disney, Disney cruise. We often went to the Oregon coast for a family vacation. Elementary, middle school, and high school education. But in high school, I got the opportunity to go live in Israel. And so I lived there for about 4 months on an English-speaking campus, where we would learn about the Dead Sea one day, and then the next day we would go and it was very interactive, and for about 4 months. And then when I came back to the States, I finished high school and went to college to get my deaf studies degree, so American Sign Language. I went to a school, Seattle Central. It's a really popular big community college in Seattle. And I went there and almost finished my degree. I just didn't finish my math courses. I hate math. But American Sign Language degree, and I worked in a deaf children's school. It's called C-Sign. It's Signing Exact English. So while I was working at that school, I also worked for Starbucks. I started out at Starbucks as a barista and worked my way up. And then the time I was working at the deaf school, I was also a shift supervisor at Starbucks, and I which career path I wanted to take, and so I chose Starbucks as my career path. And from there, I worked up to an assistant manager, a store manager, and then the last 4 or 5 years have been at the corporate office in various different roles. It was at Starbucks that I met my wife. She actually moved from Jacksonville, Florida to join the police department down here, but they went on a hiring freeze at that time, so she got a job at Starbucks, and that's how we met. It was kind of a unique situation. I had never been with a woman before. I never thought I would end up marrying a woman, but we just kind of, here we are 7 years later. So telling my parents about that was no big deal over coffee, and my dad said, okay, pass the butter. Whereas her family at the age of 16 kicked her out of the house and told her they wanted nothing to do with her. So That's how she got into the military and then law enforcement. That's how we met. And then we have a 9-month child. So I carried our first child, and we just gave birth to her 9 months ago. And I am fortunate that I've been with Starbucks for over 10 years. You are granted a sabbatical. So I am taking a year off to stay at home with my daughter and see if that's my career or if I want to go back to Starbucks. So I'm kind of now or I don't know. So being a stay-at-home mom is very challenging, and finding it hard to kind of find my way in that position. When you're with a company for 15 years, it's like, you just can go with it, and this is a big change to be a stay-at-home mom. So my easy way out, I just told my wife the other day, is I want to go back to work because I don't know how to do the stay-at-home mom thing, but I just got to figure it out, and I will eventually. So that is that in a nutshell.
Is it?
I don't know who's going first.
That was a minute. I don't know if else heard the last minute.
I did.
I can't hear you. Oh, I can hear you. I didn't hear you, Alex. I'm sorry. You broke up the whole time.
I don't know if everybody else can hear, but I saw your face.
Better.
That's better.
Better. So it's probably my end. Let me move to a different room, but somebody else want to start while I set up my computer in another room?
Yeah, I can do education. You want? Okay. So let me start with just kind of elementary, junior high, and high school and all of that. Were you pretty involved in school, like in sports or student government or any kind of team activities, group activities?
No, not really. I was very much right brain person. I'm like very visual. I'm like a hands-on learner, and so the way that school's taught, I just like would wait for the hour to like end in each class because I retain anything that was lectured in those classes. And it was until college that I discovered that, like, okay, I learn in a different way. So earlier, maybe I would have done things differently, but no,
Did you have anybody during that time that sort of mentored you, or that gave you an idea that it could be different, or did you just kind of?
Well, so I was labeled, I mentioned this in a discussion board, but I was labeled with a learning disability growing up my whole life. Had a period every class, like teacher's assistants to help me with any homework or projects I had. And then it was right before I went to college, my parents had me see a hypnotist. I don't even know why that had to do with this, but
Wow.
I went and the woman said, you don't have a learning disability. She said, you learn different than what the schools, she said, the schools teach you in a box and you learn outside the box. And so I kind of held on to this crutch that I had this learning disability. Like, okay, I can't go to college now and I can't like do anything with my career because I have this learning disability. But it's just kind of realizing how you learn and you know what you do about it.
So do you feel like that hindered you socially as well, like in school? Were you able to form?
For sure. Yeah, for sure. I think that you get this label and people see you in that class for that extra help, you know, and I think that you get a reputation.
So what was the catalyst that sent you to Israel, and did you go in a group for that experience? And what was the school like there?
Yeah, so it was 150 kids from the U.S. My older brother and sister had done it prior to me going, so I was the third child to go. It was 150 kids all around the U.S. Went to this college, English speaking, and we lived in dorms. I think I was 17 at the time, and it was just kind of you took some of your regular courses from school with you, but you also learned history. So like I said, we would study about like Masada, the Dead Sea, where Jesus was crucified, and we would then go there and actually like look at the place and pass there. So that was really eye-opening. I really matured during that trip. And it was just an unforgettable trip. I mean, I think if any child can go abroad and study, and they have that opportunity, that they should definitely do that, regardless of where it is.
Did you feel like that was a different experience socially then also? Were you able to connect better?
Yeah, I do. Now I would say I'm a really outgoing person. I'm kind of an extrovert, and I saw that when I was in Israel, but prior to that, I was probably more introverted and shy.
And so then when you went to college, did that transfer? Like, do you feel like that experience, it was kind of like the cutoff before and after that experience?
No, I think being in Israel led to different things spiritually and just aspect, but not necessarily my growth for education. I think seeing that hypnotist was my turning point, what I knew I was capable of and what I could do.
So just a couple more questions. What made you decide, when did you decide to go back to ASU, and what made you decide to do that?
So Starbucks offers any partner, so we call each other partners. I know, Nancy, you know all this because you work there. But instead of employees, we call each other partners. So every partner who has not finished their degree is able to go back to ASU. We did a partnership with ASU where school is 100% paid for. So in two things. Number one, I want this to be, I want to be a good role model for my daughter, the college degree. And two, if I do decide to be a stay-at-home mom and leave Starbucks and kind of put my career on hold, when I return to work, I want some type of degree in the profession that I am now.
And what
so I just
is
thought,
your degree going to be in?
HR. I'm in human resources at Starbucks. Professional leadership is the degree at ASU that I'm.
I think that's about it. I was going to ask you one more. Have you had other classes so far where you've been in team or group situations? A little bit more, not as common since we're online, I guess.
Nope, I have not. This is my first team.
Okay, I guess that's it for me. Education. Thanks.
Look, I can go. No one wants to go. All right. So for me, I'm concentrating on your youth. So in terms of your youth, what was your decision making like growing up? I mean, did you feel like when you were making decisions growing up, did you feel you had a lot of control of your decisions, or did you feel like you fell into those categories like we discussed in the textbook, like the need to be right, the need to be liked, or just conformity?
I think has been the type of person that I'm a rule follower. I don't like to stray from the rules. I think that because I was the youngest growing up, I think that there were a lot of decisions that are already made for me. I feel that even to this day, I still struggle with my brother, who's 6 years older, trying to make decisions for me. So, for instance, for our wedding, dinner, I said no kids, which, you know, obviously I love my niece and nephews, but I wanted to create an environment. It was at a bar in Seattle that was could relax and enjoy themselves, and it would be hard. So my brother had a hard time with that. And then the night of our rehearsal dinner, he sat me down and said, sometimes you do make the right decisions. So I think that was his way of telling me that he had a good time, and thank you for that decision. But I think because I'm the youngest, they kind of make decisions for me, and it's always been that way.
Okay. In terms of your identity growing up, you said you kind of you had the normal family-ish, whatever, normal to everybody's different, but what identity did you have growing up? Like, what group identity did you have? Or did you have multiple identities?
I mean, in a town about 30 minutes east of Seattle called Issaquah, and it's kind of known as, you know, a wealthier city. There, say 95% were white citizens that lived there. So I feel like I lived a very sheltered life in my youth. I went to community college that was known for the #1 diversity in this, and I couldn't believe it. I just realized then that it was sheltered when I got to college. But I feel like what I was surrounded by, that's all I knew. That was kind of the identity I grew into.
Do you feel that was like a handicap for you?
I do. I think I mean I'm very fortunate that, you know, my cars, I had a credit card through him. I didn't really learn anything about finances, and now my life could literally strangle me every day. I just have no concept of really. I still think it grows on trees, but it doesn't. So really hindered me.
Okay. In terms of diversity, you talked about diversity. There was not much diversity, but when you did encounter it, how did you deal with it? Was it an easy adjustment?
I mean, I couldn't recall or tell you how I dealt with it when I first came across it. I'm sure because that's the type of person I am. I'm accepting of anybody and don't think anything different of anybody based off what you look like, what color you are. So I can't imagine that I handled it anything but it became normal.
How did you handle growing up in your youth? How did you handle time pressures? Like if you were given a task, were you able to focus? Were you able to make
very much so a procrastinator? I think because I was the youngest, I had a lot of distractions with my older brother and sister who had a later curfew, who got to have friends over all the time, more things. So I procrastinated a lot just to try to be in those experiences and moments with them. And another reason is because the way I learn, I just did not find it fun as I do now to sit down and like work or ask for help. So procrastinate and then do the bare minimum just to get by.
Okay. Do you consider yourself now a procrastinator now that you're older and wiser and have all the wisdom in the world?
No, I don't. I don't. I'm a very like. I don't like surprises. I like to plan for things. I don't like to be late to things. I don't like to not know what's going on. So I don't procrastinate anymore.
Okay. In terms of your youth again, we're going to talk about fairness. In terms of fairness, did you have any issue with fairness growing up? I mean, I know you say you're accepting of others, and that kind of gives me the hint that you're a fair individual, but was it reciprocated towards you, to you?
Sorry, what was that last part?
Do you feel that people treated you fair as well when you were growing up?
I think that yeah, I think I'm a fair person. I think that I think I saw a lot of things that were unfair between me and my brother and sister because of the age difference. They were 16 months apart, where I'm 4 years and 6 years apart. So because of that, I myself want to have children very close in age so they don't experience that. But I think I was treated very fairly. Looking back at how my parents, that is probably the only thing I would say about the fairness.
How about now, as an adult? Do you think it's different because of your marriage situation?
I have never experienced any kind of backlash for being in a same-sex relationship in Seattle. I think in Seattle it's pretty, it's not outrageous to see that. Shannon, my wife, is from Jacksonville, Florida, which we visited once, and I did hear comments being made. Because I live such a sheltered life, I just like was in shock that people acted that way or like still said those things. So that wasn't very fair.
Right.
But back in Seattle, not one person has said anything. Not one person, not one family member or friend of mine when I told them well wishes.
Okay, one more question for me. Your motivation during your youth, what was it? I mean, did you have motivation? Yeah, sorry I cut you off. Just your motivation. What was your motivation growing up to succeed and eventually be successful?
Dad was probably the best role model. I think that I get my work ethic from him, and he wears his heart on his sleeve. He will take his shirt off his back for anybody, and I always felt like that's to be. He's very successful in his employment. He's owned his own businesses. He is someone that inspired me. There's nothing I think any girl can say. There's nothing better than making your dad proud. So what I tried to do.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, that's my last question. Sorry, I hogged it up.
All right. I guess I'll go next then for family. But, first up, how long have you been married?
We've been married 2 years.
Okay. What's kind of your average day and your wife's average day?
So she will leave for work pretty early in the morning, and I wake up by the sound of my daughter playing in her crib. and my daughter get up, we do some bottles and some Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, and then I will, her morning nap is typically when I do my homework. Then when she gets up, we typically have a play date. I like to get her out and about and around other children and to interact with them. Then we come home for a nap, and usually during snack nap, I'm getting dinner ready or cleaning up the house. And then by the time she wakes up, my wife comes home, go for a walk or ride our bikes or just play with our daughter. Right now we're in the midst of, can you hear me?
I can't hear you. You sound like a robot. You're cutting off a lot. I don't know if it's my computer or if it's your
Yeah,
reception.
my ex-dad, I can't hear either.
Yeah, so we're probably gonna have to do that part
Can you hear me
over.
Okay.
It sounds really broken and robotic.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's still about the same. Can you go to a different part of the room maybe?
Yeah.
Like near a window? Oh, I think that made it worse.
Yikes.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Oh yeah, much better.
Yeah, that's better.
Okay, so am I starting my day over? What is it? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
So typical day is I wake up, my wife goes to work really early in the morning. I wake up with my daughter, bottle TV time, and then she goes right back down for her nap. And then usually during the first nap is when I do my homework and look at my school stuff. I typically go out with and do a play date with her because I want her to interact with other children in the house. And then we come back and take another nap, and that's when I typically get dinner ready or and then by the time she wakes up, my wife is home. We try to do something with our daughter Riley, so we either go for a walk or ride our bikes and have dinner together. And then when Riley goes down, me and Shannon are addicted to Mad Men right now, so we binge watch Netflix.
Okay. Looking at your family as kind of a team, like what kind of role do you take on compared to what your wife will take on?
I would say I kind of out our days, plan out our weekends, our social outings. I kind of my wife kind of plays the financial house. She's the one bringing in the income and really has a say in where our money is spent, and she deals with all the financials. But I think that we're still trying to figure that piece out, being a stay-at-home mom. I think it's a new role for me. I think also having two moms run a household, obviously different than a man and a woman running a household. So I think that we're both very, I don't know how to compare it to a male and female role, but I think we're both pretty fair on the responsibilities in the house and kind of both get our hands into whatever needs to be done, and we're both willing to do what needs to be done.
Okay. As your daughter grows up, do you expect y'all to be kind of easygoing parents or stricter parents?
It probably won't be strict. I have a hard time. So I think that my wife, has been in the military and law enforcement. I think that she will play more of the strict parent. My child to have a fun childhood. I want her to explore and try different things and be an accepting person with a good heart. So I have to be stricter. I've done this before, so
Okay, so I think you were sounding a little like a robot again.
was that okay?
Yeah, you were sounding like a robot again. So
I'll go one more place.
technology at its best here.
Yeah.
So we have like a good 12 minutes left
Okay.
to hit that mark, at least the minimum.
You hear me now?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay, and then my next question would be, you kind of already went over it in your daily life, but just how you manage school and family time to kind of balance that out.
Hard. I definitely hear my wife sometimes say, her and I only get 3 or 4 hours together, so I try not to do homework. It's hard. I mean, some days I can get it done, some days I can't, some days I have to do it at night. So semester was summer school, so I felt like in those 6 weeks I would get down a system in 4 weeks and then left before it was over. Just a work in progress, checking and adjusting, and to give everyone and everything attention.
Okay, and then also, how did your wife's family kind of abandoning her? How did it affect y'all's relationship? Did it bring y'all closer together as a team with any negativity or?
I mean, so like I said in my introduction, I come from a very close-knit family where she comes from a very estranged family. So for me, it's like very common that I'll walk in a room and give everybody a hug and say hi, where for her, she doesn't like to be touched, or like that's really uncomfortable for her. I think in that type of sense, yeah, it was hard on our relationship for me to kind of break down that wall. I think that she was always waiting for things to go bad, so she never a bright future. People to drop and leave and walk off. But what did bring us closer is I really encouraged her to, as our wedding approached, she should invite her parents to the wedding or not. And I really encouraged her to go see somebody and talk about it and just kind of, and through that, she now does talk to her parents. They do have a closer relationship. It's important for our daughter to see and for her.
That's all I have for my part.
Okay, Tyler, you're up.
Cool. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. So yeah, I just got a couple. What made you choose Starbucks? Was it just one of those like young, just wanting type of job, or was it something that you really wanted to get into, like you just like the company type thing?
I think it was a little both. I think I was kind of naive to think about where this took me at the time. For the love of the company, it's a great company. They really take care of their people. I saw the responsibilities that a store manager held and kind of wanted to experience that and be successful in that role. So that was kind of the direction I was taking when deciding to stay with Starbucks. I think that it really supported my learning style. Was another reason I went with Starbucks.
Awesome. So yeah, I think you answered like my second question too. I was gonna ask, when did you realize that you wanted to stay with Starbucks and keep developing? You just said like it was just like the store manager and just seeing that develop, right?
Yeah, I think that I had a sister in the store in the same city, and I kind of saw what her career was looking like and felt like that's where I wanted to go.
And then I know you said that you're in the more corporate now, not assistant manager, store manager. Is it still a leadership role, or is it one of those that kind of going back to, not say near the bottom because of course that you moved up, but is it more like going towards up to being like the main human resource, or?
When I left the retail stores to go to corporate, I had managed my last store for 6 years, and I really wanted to go to corporate with a job where I was an individual contributor, because when you're a store manager, you're a little bit of a glorified babysitter. I wanted to go to work. When you're a store manager, you can't do that. You're on the clock 24/7. So since I've been at corporate, I've been an individual contributor into what we call a TLA. It's a time limited assignment. It's for people who work for the company. They get to kind of try out different roles for a period of time. Like per se, if somebody's going on maternity leave and for a time limited assignment. So you go into these roles for 6 months, and then when you're done, you either take the role permanently or you can go back to your old job. So I went for, it was awful. I hated it. And I love it. And I have been in the HR for the last 4 years. I support a generalist team. So I'm within a generalist team, so there's about 4 or 5 of us in our team, and we support our channel development group. So channel development is Starbucks on airplanes, in grocery stores, campuses, any office. That is kind of our channel development group. So we are a that supports all of the partners who work in that department. And right now I'm kind of at a crossroads where I really need to decide if being a stay-at-home mom is what I want to do, or going back and pursuing my career and jumping up the ladder is something I want to do.
And what did you say you were studying before again? Sorry.
American Sign Language.
Makes sense. Did you ever do you ever wish that you went down that path, or is it are you happy with the Starbucks path?
Yeah, I mean, there are times during like concerts or whatnot where you see an interpreter and I kind of think, oh my God, I could have done that. It would have been so cool. But because of where I was at in my life, there was a lot of schooling. There was a lot of challenges that I didn't think I could overcome. And so I kind of easy route, but I kind of went the route that I was more comfortable with. So learn and thrive in.
Awesome. And then last question, just of all of them, what was your most favorite and most rewarding?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear all of that.
Just all the positions that you've held, which one was like your favorite, the one that you felt most rewarding?
As store manager. As store manager, you get to do so many different things. You get to have your hands on so many different things. What I loved about being a store manager the most was just empowering my partners to really dig deep and find out what they're capable of, challenging them and training them, interacting with them. So it's a really close-knit tight group, so we became a family. It was so fun going to work and with customers, and you become part of family members from your customers. Just a really fun job. It was hard. It was really, really hard. But that was probably my favorite.
Awesome. And then one more, sorry, out of all the leadership styles, what one do you think best relates to you?
Again.
Sorry. Out of all the leadership styles, which one do you feel is your strongest?
Oh, you're referring to the book? Or just in general?
Yeah, just in general.
I kind of lead in a way where I'm hands off. I'll never give an answer. I'll let you kind of try to figure out what the answer is first. And if I've seen that you've your resources, then I'll chime in to help you. But I find it fulfilling when I can lead by empowering people to make decisions on their own and capable of doing.
Awesome. That's it for me.
Okay, I'm checking the time really quick. Yeah, we're good on time. So does anyone have any questions before I stop the recording? Nancy?
Nope.
You good? Tyler, you good?
I'm good.
Daniel?
Good.
Okay, awesome. I didn't miss anybody, right? Okay, so what I'll do is I'll hit the stop button and then we can kind of brief and then we can hang out. Okay, so I'll be stopping it now.